Hi, a very warm welcome everyone. So in today's session, we are going to continue development on Django framework for web application designing using Python. In today's session, we are going to set up a MySQL server with Django so that you can make your applications ready for production. Followed by you are going to make your first project today. Inclusive of project, you are going to understand how multiple applications can be created within a project and they can be connected with the main Django project. Followed by we will be accessing those projects and whatever views we will be creating on AWS. So let's get started. So first of all, I would like to take you all to my console where we have multiple servers. So one server I will be configuring and another server will be configured by Arush. Okay, Arush? Okay, so one project I will be configuring and another project you will be configuring, Arush. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's get started. So now we have two servers here. Let me just quickly show you the two servers which are available with us. One server is Arush Batra's server that will be running on 13.126.27.22226, and I will be configuring this server 13.232.111.180. So I will be configuring the second one actually 13.233.250.174. So let's get started. Arush, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you can connect to Putty using AWS, and I will be using my terminal in order to connect AWS console. So for Mac, we can quickly connect using SSH, and you need to grab your key. So we have a private key, yashwini.pem. We are going to use this key, and I will be connecting to my server 13.233.250.174. And Arish, you have to connect to your server. So once you're connected, let me know. So whoever is watching us live, let's see. I'm into my Kali Linux shell, and I will be creating my Django projects here. Arush, once you are ready, just let me know.
Just a second, sir.
So in the previous session, in the previous video, we have already discussed about how we can connect in Windows to Amazon AWS using Putty. And in Mac and Linux, you can directly use console-based SSH to connect to AWS EC2 instance. Once you got access to the instance, we can configure our application. So first part we are going to do is we will be working on setting up of MySQL. And why is MySQL important? Let's have a quick look. So we'll quickly go to djangoproject.com. We'll start with get started with Django. Now here, under the installation guide, you have to install Python initially. Followed
Sir,
by installation of Python, we need a database setup. Yes.
sir, I think my internet is not stable. Just a second, I'll connect to another internet.
Okay, okay, no problem. So in the previous session, we have already accomplished installation of Python, followed by installation of Apache and mod WSGI. These things were already done. Today we will be working on how to get your database running. Okay, now, so we have to get started with getting our database running on AWS so that we will be able to configure our Django with MySQL. And in case if we will be making production based application, we will be able to utilize that database and make a big application, store any kind of database based information. So now you can understand why the database is important. So let's quickly understand why is it important. So it says if you plan to use Django's database API functionality, you'll need to make sure a database server is running. Django supports many different database servers and it is officially supported by PostgreSQL, MariaDB, MySQL, Oracle, and SQLite. So if you are developing a small project or something you don't plan to deploy in a production environment, which means if you are not making an industrial project, then you can use SQLite. SQLite is an option which is by default available with Django. However, SQLite has many differences from other databases. So, if you're working on something substantial, that means if you're working on a real-time project or an important project, it's recommended to develop with same database that you plan on using in production. So, for production, generally we will be using MySQL databases. So, today we are going to set up MySQL database. So let's quickly get back to our Linux terminal where we have got access to EC2-user at Kali and we are going to configure our database for Django. Now on Kali Linux by default MySQL server is installed, but this command I'm writing just for those who don't have a MySQL server installed by default. So the people what they can do, they can use sudo apt-get install. They can use the command MySQL client as well as MySQL server along with library of MySQL client for development, which is known as live MySQL client for development. So the people, those who do not have MySQL server installed, can make use of this command on a raw server and can get started with MySQL. But since we already have MySQL installed, we are going to access it using a command. So the command which we need to make use of to connect to our MySQL server is first, before you connect to that, okay, let me show you what will happen. So let's say if initially the service is not running, so in case if the service is not running, what you can do is you can try to connect, but you are going to land up into an error. I'm showing this error because a lot of people, what they do, they just try to communicate to MySQL database without starting the service. So they land up into problems and then they think they forgot the password or something like that. So now what we can do is, let's just quickly see. In order to connect to MySQL service, default service, you can use sudo MySQL hyphen username root hyphen password p. So once you press enter, it is going to ask for a password. By default, MySQL does not have a password. So you just press enter. Once you press enter, you can see that you're going to get a response somewhat like this. Cannot connect to local MySQL server through socket this. And this error generally comes when your MySQL service is not running. So make sure, a lot of people land up into this problem. That's why I am discussing it over here. In order to overcome such issues, first step is to start your service. Sudo service MySQL start. Using this command, you can start your service first. And once you're ready with the service, then you can execute the same command sudo mysql -u root -p. So once you press enter, it will ask for a password and you simply press enter and you will land up into the database. So now I hope this is clear. So now you can see that we have landed into the MySQL database. Okay. And here the MySQL database prompt is displayed to us here. That now we can execute any MySQL command. Arush, are you connected?
Yes, sir.
Now let's see. So we have to perform certain configurations like configuration of users, permissions, and databases. Three things initially we need to do in order to quickly connect that with a project. So what we are going to do, let's get started. First, we are going to create the users. In order to create the users in MySQL database, we are going to quickly check first what all users are available by default in MySQL. So we are going to write a command select user, comma host from mysql.user. So there is a default table available in all the MySQL databases known as MySQL user. What this table is capable of, this table actually holds all the user accounts which can access MySQL database. So I'm going to generate a list and I'm going to see what all accounts are already available in this MySQL server. So once I execute this, you guys can quickly see we get a default response that we do have an account known as the username is root and the host name is localhost. Okay. So by default, there is one account known as root account available. But once we create a project, we have to define a custom username so that we can perform limitations and security of databases. Limitations as in if we provide privileges and if we configure the privileges of databases, then there will be no chances of getting that hacked or being compromised by any hacker. So what we can do, let us just quickly configure a user. So for this, what we are going to do, first of all, we are going to create a user using a command, create user. You have to define the username. So let's say I'm going to define my name, and Arush, you can define your own name to create a user. So we are going to create a user with the username identified by. Identified by is an important keyword over here, which actually defines that you have to specify the password. Okay. So identified by is an important keyword and it actually means the password. So I'm going to define my password. Let's say I'm going to say ABCD is going to be my password. So now you have to see what we did. We have executed the command create user. Now we have defined the username. That was our username. Then we have defined the keyword identified by, followed by we have defined our password. Okay. So we are going to get a user followed by the password. Arush, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Now we are going to create a user. Let's just quickly press enter. And you have to put a semicolon as well at the end so that the queries gets executed. So once we execute that, now you can see we have got a response and the response says query executed successfully and 0 rows has been affected, but somehow it is showing 0 rows have been affected, but you have got your new user created. So what we are going to do, let's just quickly select the users and hosts again. Select user comma host from mysql.user. Okay. So now this time you can see you have got a new user created. And this time I've got my username created and it is listening for all kinds of connections. This percentage sign shows database account available globally. So globally means it can be accessed from anywhere. So any user with a username Devanshu, and if he knows the appropriate password, he can make a connection to this database from anywhere in the world if the server is on internet. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, so but for now, what we need to do, mostly what we generally do whenever we create, what is that? Okay, so whenever we create a web application, what do we mostly like to have? We have an EC2 instance server, and within this server itself, what we are going to have, we are going to have our application hosted on the same server. So the database and application is on the same server at the moment. So we should also allow the privileges of local host to the account Devanshu so that applications and code available on the local server, they should also be able to communicate with the database. Okay. So for that, what we are going to do, we are going to create a user with localhost permissions. Okay. So what we can do, you can also write this command, create user, username. Let's say I'm going to call my username again, Devanshu. And what am I going to do? I'm going to define the local host. I don't want it to be listened publicly, let's say. I want that to be listening locally. Okay. So once you call localhost, and if you call select user host from mysql.user, now you can see you are going to get two accounts here with the same name Devanshu. And the benefit is now it is listening on both type of accounts. It's listening on local hosts as well as it is listening on all the global connections. Is that clear?
सर लोकल होस्ट का मतलब क्या है कि मतलब सिर्फ एक ही कंप्यूटर उससे एक्सेस कर सकता है या
नो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली हैपेंस इज लोकल होस्ट का मतलब ये होता है, लोकल होस्ट हम इसलिए डिफाइन करते हैं, मान लीजिए आपका सर्वर है, ठीक है, कंसिडर दिस इज योर AWS सर्वर। अब AWS सर्वर के अंदर दो एप्लीकेशंस हैं। फर्स्ट एप्लीकेशन इज कंसिडर योर अपाचे सर्वर, यू हैव एन अपाचे सर्वर हियर, ओके, एक आपका अपाचे सर्वर है एंड दिस अपाचे सर्वर इज इन दिस डायरेक्टरी वर्ल्ड वाइड वेब www.html. Okay, fine, let's say we are accessing world wide web HTML using Apache server. Now what we have to do, under this we will be having various files. Let's say I'm going to have a file, let's say index.php, which needs to show some data or it has to perform some registration process or sign in process or login process, let's say. So let's say I'll give you an example. Let's say there is a file known as login. ओके, एक कोई लॉगिन पेज है। अब लॉगिन पेज किसके साथ में इंटरेक्ट करता है? डेटाबेस के साथ में इंटरेक्ट करता है। तो आई विल से आई हैव अ डेटाबेस अवेलेबल ओवर हियर। ओके, लेट मी जस्ट कॉल इट एज MySQL database. Okay, now MySQL database will be having certain data in it. So let's say I will be having suppose within this we have a specific table known as let's say we have some login table in it. Okay, यहाँ पे हमारे पास एक लॉगिन टेबल है। अब इस लॉगिन टेबल के साथ में PHP या कोई भी जो भी वेब पेज होगा, इट हैज टू इंटरैक्ट, देयर शुड बी एन इंटरैक्शन। ओके, सो ये इंटरैक्शन करते समय होगा क्या, हियर एट दिस साइड ऑफ द सर्वर देयर विल बी एन ऑथेंटिकेशन प्रोसेस। ओके, व्हाट विल हैपन हियर, ऑथेंटिकेशन विल हैपन। So now under this authentication, what do we need? We need to specify an account in the database itself. So that's why we are defining that, let's say there's a account named Devanshu and it has local host privileges also. So that means login.php on the same server will be able to communicate to the database and can read the data from the login table and can display or perform various operations. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
That's why we need local host privileges or local host issues. In case if we do not allow this local host, then what will happen? We won't be able to have that connection. So if you want to see in real time, this Apache applications will be able to access database using this credentials, using Devanshu user.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, okay, now what next we are going to do? So we have got a user created. Now let's quickly see the databases available. Show databases. Okay, so you can see that we have 3 databases available over here. Let's create a database. Create database. Let's say my project. Okay, we are just creating a sample database using the command create database my project. So once we have created, you can again show the databases and see that you have got a new database ready, and that is your my project. You have got a my project database ready. Now this my project database can be used with one single project or an application, as well as you can use it for multiple projects also in case if the values are same. Okay, is that clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Now what we are going to do? Now once you have created the database, once you have created the user, you have to specify the permissions for the user for that particular database. Okay. So now what we have is, let's say we have the database, but we have to allow permissions to the users. Okay. So that he will be able to perform operations on it. So now in order to access that, what we have to do, we have to provide permissions to our user, let's say Devanshu, so that he can access my project database. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So how he can access? Generally, to access, we have four types of operations. We call it as CRUD operations. Okay. This is known as create a database table or anything, read the database tables, anything like that, update the database and tables, and delete. इसे crude operations कहते हैं. Create, read, update, delete. This is the most common operation which is performed by a user on a database or on its tables. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let's see what we are going to do. So let's grant the permissions. Now in order to grant the permissions, we are going to define the command grant all. You are going to provide all the permissions on which database? You have to provide the database my project. Okay. So this is going to be the project, and within this project we can define n number of tables. So we are representing with dot star, that on all the tables we will get access to our username, whatever username we are going to specify. So we are going to specify the username to our Devanshu at localhost. Okay. So we have defined grant all on my project.start to Devanshu at localhost. So now this means there is a user Devanshu available on localhost. He has the permissions to access my project database. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Followed by, you have to call the command again, identified by, and you have to define the password. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Once you define the password, you press enter, and now you can see the permissions has been granted. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we are done with this. Now what we are going to do, we'll go to the next step now. So we are ready with the databases part.
इस स्टेप से मतलब देवांशु यूजर को जो कि लोकल होस्ट पे है उसे ये माई प्रोजेक्ट की को एक्सेस करने की परमिशन मिली है.
Right. Now Devanshu can read in this database, he can write in this database, he can update the database, he can delete the database.
Okay, sir.
Okay. He has got all the privileges, all the permissions. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now what next we are going to do? Let us just quickly get back to our Django project. Okay. So here on the Django, where is the Django project? Here. So we got the database running. Now we have to go to your installation of the Django code, okay, and get started with your first project. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as you can see here, you can install the Django using the following instructions. You can install it using the PIP version. PIP is quite important when it comes to installation process. We can also download it raw, which means we can download it from GitHub, and then we can compile and configure it. So that option is also available, but we will start with the PIP based installation. Okay. So in order to get started with PIP based installation, let's just quickly open terminal. Use Control Z to come out of this and check if Python is running on your machine. Okay. Now you can see Python is running on our machine. Okay. So what we are going to do, using Python, we are going to install Django. Okay. So let's go for it. Use control Z to come out and execute the command. Python-module, you have to use PIP and you have to install Django. It is possible that PIP may not be installed by default. Okay, so we are going to check. If PIP is available, it's fine. If it's not available, we are going to install it. So if I run, it says no module named PIP, which means we need to install PIP first. So we can go for sudo apt get install PIP. Is that clear? You can install the
सर
PIP package manager. Yeah.
कुछ नहीं कुछ गलत देख लेता हूँ.
Okay.
Yes.
You can install PIP using the command. You can also get that from GitHub, as well as you can get started with direct installation also. Okay. In case somehow, if you don't have the PIP, okay, there are other options also to get PIP by installation of Anaconda Navigator, and there are various other options. Okay. So by default, I'll just try with the package manager. If it works fine, then okay. Otherwise, I'm going to go and install Anaconda Navigator. So I say, once I executed, it says it does not have the package PIP. So there are two options. Either we can download it from Wikipedia. Sorry, I'm saying Wikipedia, sorry, GitHub. Okay. You can quickly download the Python package installer from GitHub and then you can install. But I have another nice way of installing that. So what am I going to do? Let's just quickly go to the browser and I'll show you. We will be installing Anaconda Navigator. Okay. So let's quickly go for google.com and you just type in Anaconda Navigator.
सर
Yeah.
सर ये पाइथन वाला ही एनाकोंडा नेविगेटर है.
Sorry.
ये पाइथन वाला ही एनाकोंडा नेविगेटर है या दूसरा है कोई?
पाइथन वाला ही है, बट हमें सर्वर पे इंस्टॉल करना होगा.
Okay.
Okay. So we have got Anaconda Python R distribution. We have to download that. Let's quickly go to the download page, and here we need to check that for Linux versions. Okay, we are going to download the file on server and then we are going to install it. Okay, so here is the download option. Your data science toolkit. No, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for download Anaconda. I think they have changed the website. Individual edition, your data science toolkit. Okay, we'll go here to the download section. Okay, at the very bottom of the page, they have got the new installers. So there are three types of installers here: Windows, Mac, and Linux. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll go with 64-bit Python 3.7 installer. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So right click on this Linux 3.7 and copy the link. So once you guys are done with installation of Anaconda on your AWS server, then you will be able to perform development of Django project, as well as you will be able to perform machine learning also and all other Python features you can use, and you can integrate that in your application. So I've just copied the link. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to use wget to install that. So I'm going to call wget followed by paste. So from repo.anaconda.com, we are installing Anaconda 3.2020 version number 2 for Linux x86-64 shell. This is the file which we are going to download. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Let's press enter and get started with the download. So it's a 500 MB file, and you can see that within approximately 5 seconds, we have got that file downloaded.
Yes, sir.
That's the beauty of AWS, fast internet connections. Now let's see. So once you have got this shell, what do you need to do? You need to quickly run that. Okay. So to run that, let's just give it read, write, execute permissions. Sudo change module. You can provide the permissions using read, write, execute, RWX. and define the name of your Anaconda shell. Okay. So now you can see that if I use ls-l, you can quickly see that I have provided read, write, execute permissions to Anaconda navigator. Okay, read and execute. Now what we are going to do, let's just call /anaconda.shell. So this is how we can execute a binary shell file. Is that clear?
So just a second. सर
Yes.
सर इसमें कॉपी कैसे करते हैं?
राइट क्लिक, राइट कॉपी करने के लिए तो आप कमांड सी से कॉपी कर लो सीधा, पेस्ट करने के लिए राइट क्लिक एंड पेस्ट, कॉपी करने के लिए सिर्फ सेलेक्ट करके छोड़ देते हैं, अपने आप कॉपी हो जाता है।
अच्छा,
जितना पार्ट सेलेक्ट करोगे वो कॉपी हो जाएगा, राइट क्लिक करोगे पेस्ट हो जाएगा। Are you done?
yes sir.
So now, once you have got the shell, now we have to press enter and the shell will install. So once I press enter, it says, in order to continue the installation process, please review the license. Okay, so we'll say, okay, fine, we have all the licenses. Let's press enter to continue. Okay, now it is displaying about Anaconda individual edition, what are its benefits and all these things. We have to keep pressing enter until and unless we reach to the confirm dialog. So in the confirm dialog, we have to accept the proposal so that Anaconda gets installed on our server. Okay, now here. So somehow like this, you're going to get the question as, please answer yes or no. For what? Do you accept the license terms? Yes or no? So we'll say yes, we accept the license terms. Is that clear?
Yes sir.
Press enter. So it is asking where would you like to install Anaconda? Do you want to install it in home EC2-user Anaconda 3, or else do you want to install it anywhere? So generally what we do, we install it in the /usr directory. Okay. So what we're going to do, we are going to define a new directory, and let's define the directory as usr/Anaconda. I'm going to install it within usr Anaconda. Is that clear?
Yes sir.
Press enter. So it says could not create the directory. This is because we have not executed this with super user privileges. So let's run that with sudo.
सर मेरा हो गया.
You may be in the root by default.
Yes sir. सर आप भी रूट में चले जाओ ना.
I am not in root. I am on EC2-user.
सर sudo su लिखने से शायद रूट में चले जाते हैं.
Yeah, I know. Thank you so much for help.
नहीं सर वैसी वाली नहीं, मैं वैसे शायद बोल रहा हूँ, मुझे कंफर्म नहीं है.
ठीक है. So I have executed sudo and I'm executing this again. I'm going to define that under /usr/Anaconda. This will be the directory where I'm going to install. So now it will start the installation process. Okay.
Yes sir.
So it will take a while to install. So let it get installed, then we'll continue.
सर ये इंस्टॉल हो गया है. इसमें लिखा हुआ है डू यू विश द इंस्टॉलर टू इनिशियलाइज एनाकोंडा 3 बाय रनिंग conda init.
Yes.
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 हो गया सर इंस्टॉल।
हो गया?
यस सर।
So all the files, libraries are getting installed. Now, so do you wish to initialize the Anaconda tree in it? Yes, we want to initialize it. So once we press yes, we have got the Anaconda installed. Okay. Now, so we have got the latest version of Python, and now using this version of Python, we have got a PIP also installed. And where is everything installed? We have got it here. So you can quickly go to /usr Anaconda directory. Within this directory, there is a binary directory. Okay. And here, if you perform a list command on this binary directory, you can quickly see all the binary files available with Anaconda. Okay, तो आप यहाँ देख सकते हैं जितनी भी files हमें required होती हैं, they are all available over here. So first, what we need PIP. Okay, so you can see that PIP is installed here. Apart from PIP, we for local databases sometimes what we do, we make use of SQLite. So that is also installed here. We have multiple versions of Python also installed. We have Python 3, we have Python 3.7. So we have multiple versions of Python also available over here, as well as the SQLite, okay, for local database setup. So that you can do. But since we will be using MySQL because we will be working for large scale projects. So that's why we will be using MySQL. Okay. Now, so once you have got all this information, now we get back to installation of Django. So now to install Django, what do you need? You need to specify the command. Let's get started. So you're going to type in user anaconda bin pip. Okay, or you can also call it as Python 3 hyphen module pip install Django. Okay, you have to define this command. Is that clear?
यस सर।
Now, once you press enter, now it is going to install Django for you.
सर
Yes.
सर इसमें आ रहा है नो सच डायरेक्टरी और फाइल।
Check the name, check the appropriate name, how, what path or what name you have provided. Was the Anaconda written in uppercase or lowercase? Just check that. Yes.
सर इसमें आ रहा है नो सच डायरेक्टरी और फाइल।
Check the name, check the appropriate name, how, what path or what name you have provided. Was the Okay, is that clear? Have you got it?
नहीं सर।
What was the name you provided?
एनाकोंडा ही लिखा था, यूएसआर एनाकोंडा। ए वाज इन अपर केस, बाकी सारा लोअर केस में था।
चेक करो ls करके, go to user directory and check, or else share your screen. Share your screen, let me see.
यस सर।
So you are under home EC2-user. So you just type in /usr, change directory to /usr, cd /usr. specify the command cd space /usr. Am I audible? Hello? Anaconda लिखा है तुमने. You have written Anaconda. You can change the name here. You can type mv.
सर कैसे?
Type mv. I'm sending the command on chat. Okay, you can see that, right? Here you have defined Anaconda. Now perform ls. It's fine now. Okay. Now go back to the, you can do that also. But I would suggest you go back to the home directory first, cd space /. Press enter again. Yeah, fine now. You can stop your screen, I'll share mine. Okay. Now, so what do you need to do? Under /usr directory, now you have to define this command. /usr anaconda bin python3 -m pip install Django. This command you have to execute. Let me know once you're done. Have you done?
Just a second सर, हो रहा है अभी. हो गया. Yes.
Okay. So,
Yes.
so you would get a message, successfully installed Django 3.0.5 version.
Yes sir.
Have you got that message? Okay, fine. Now what you're going to do? You're going to go test that you have got appropriate Django version installed. Okay. So in order to verify that, what we are going to do now? Now we are going to use /usr anaconda bin. We're going to make use of Python. Okay. Let's run the Python shell. So now you can see that we are under the Anaconda's Python version 3.7.6. Okay. Here you're going to test import Django. We're going to import Django, and if the import is successful, that means you have got the Django framework installed. So now what you can do, you can quickly type in a print statement, and you can use the object Django. You can call a function get version, and you can get that printed in order to confirm that yes, we have got Django version 3.0.5. Is that clear?
Yes sir.
So you are done with that?
Yes sir.
Now you can use Control C to Control Z to come out of the prompt. Okay.
Yes.
So we have successfully got Django set up. Now we are going to get started with our first project. Okay. There is another way to quickly check back the version of Django you are using. So for that, what you can do is you can make use of, what I'll do is let's just quickly change the directory to cd/usr. No, okay, not a problem. We'll use it like this, /usr anaconda bin Python. Okay. And you can check the version here itself. You can directly call the module Django -m module Django, and you can check the version. Okay. So this is another way of checking your Django framework version. Test and let me know if you're done.
Yes, sir, done.
Now, once we're done with that, let's get started with a project. So we are currently in this directory, home ec2-user, and you can check that with the command print working directory, pwd. So we are going to start with
Sir,
a Django project. Hello? Yes?
sir, मैं root में हूँ.
That won't be a problem. If you want, you can come to home ec2-user. You can change the directory to ec2-user.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. So now what we are going to do, we are going to start the Django project. Okay. So once the Django is set up, we get a command known as Django admin. And Django admin is an important command which helps us create the project. Okay. So if you can quickly type here DJA and press a tab, you can directly get the command Django admin. Okay. So Django admin is a command which actually creates and manages your project. So we can quickly take a help on that, Django admin -h. Let's just quickly see what all we can do with Django. So Django admin, it is actually used to perform a lot of operations on your projects. So you can check the project, you can see the compiled messages, you can go into the database shell and you can modify the databases, you can dump the data out. Along with that, there are a few more important commands, which is you can run the server. This is very important. Often you're going to use it. Then you will be using start project, start app. Okay. These are some of the common commands which we generally use. So first we create a project using start project, followed by, in case within the project, if we create an application. So you need to understand here, one project can have multiple applications. Okay. So the structure is somewhat like this of the applications or the commands which we generally use. First of all, we have a Django server. Within the Django server, we have, let's say we have a Django project. Okay. Within that, we have a Django project. And within a Django project, we have, let's say, we have the application. And you can have multiple applications within the Django server. Is that clear? So how we create that? Once we have to start the server, or once we have to create anything. So first step is to create a project. Second step is to create the applications. And third step is to run the server. Okay. So once the server is running, we will be able to access the project. So you can consider, let's say the server would be running on an IP address, which is our server's IP address. So let's say we will bind it to a port number 0.0.0.0, port number, let's say 8080, somewhere, anywhere we can find. Here I have specified the 0.0.0.0 so as to let you understand that we have to listen publicly on global IP address so that people from internet would be able to access our Python web applications. Okay. So once your server will be running on this, you will be having a project. Let's say we can have the first project as Arush project. And within that project, we can have multiple applications. Okay. Let's say we can have a sum application. Under the Arush project, we are going to perform sum of something. Let's say The project may also have, let's say, any games or anything. So you can consider it similar to Facebook. Okay. So let's say Facebook is a big project, and within that
Okay,
big
sir.
Facebook project, there are multiple applications available. So there are applications of chat, there are applications of video sharing, there are applications of advertisements, there are applications of individual games which we generally play on Facebook. So like that. Is that clear? Understood?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Now let's see. So let's just proceed further. So we are going to clear the statement, and again we are going to get started with Django admin. So now, as I told you, we are going to create a project first. So let's create a project, and we are going to call it as, let's say, Arush project. Okay, this is going to be our first project. So I've created a project known as Arush project. Now, once we create a project, we need to understand what happens once we call start project and how many files gets created. Because initially you have already heard about, I have told you in the description of Django, that Django makes your work a lot of easy. You just need to write the code of your own stuff, and all the other things, all the settings and URLs and everything will be managed by the settings and everything will be managed by the Django itself. So now let's just quickly understand what is now contained in the Arush project. So for that, we're going to install a utility known as tree, sudo apt-get install tree. Okay, tree is a utility which can help you check the contents within the directory, within the files. So let's say if you have a directory, and within the directory you have multiple directories, and every directory has different files. So you can make use of tree in order to quickly have a tree view of that directory structure. Okay, so let's install tree. Once we are done with installation of tree, we will quickly check Arush project. Okay, so we got the tree installed. Now, using the tree command, we are going to check the Arush project. Okay, so now you can see that this project has one directory and 6 files, which means under the directory Arush project, there is another directory known as Arush project, which contains asgi.py, initialize.py, settings.py, urls.py, wsgi.py, and in the main directory you have manage.py. So there are certain Python files which I created, which I'm going to explain you as soon as we progress further. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, but let me just quickly give you certain basic information about whatever project you have created. So first directory is your outer directory. Okay, this is the outer directory, and you can consider it as the container of project. Okay, you can consider it as the container of the project. Okay, and its name doesn't matter to Django. You can rename it to anything you like. Okay, it doesn't matter at all. The main root directory or the project name does not matter at all. You can keep it, you can keep any name of the project. Okay, moreover, the second file which you will experience here is known as manage.py. So what is manage.py? It is a command line utility that lets you interact with Django project in various ways. Okay, so there are certain ways which we are going to understand using Django admin and manage.py, so that we will take up as soon as we progress further. So let's just quickly come back to another important directory, which is the Arush project directory, which is created under the main directory. So this inner directory is the actual Python package for your project. Okay, this is the actual Python package for your project. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, its name is the Python package name you'll need to use to import anything inside your URL files. Okay, so I'm going to make you understand that what it is and how it looks like. Followed by the next we have is the init.py. This is the initializable file. This is an empty file that tells Python that this directory should be considered as a Python package. Okay, this specifies that the current directory should be treated as treated as package, as Python package. Is that clear? So this is the work of init.py. I'll just quickly type it as package here, py package. Is that clear? init.py का मतलब समझ में आ गया?
Yes sir.
इसके बाद में आपके पास एक और important फाइल है जिसका नाम है settings.py. So these can be considered as settings or configurations of your Django project. Okay, these are settings and configurations of your Django project. And what kind of configurations? I'll tell you. Configurations of your project, which means, let's say, the server IP on which your project will be listening. All these things you can configure here under settings.py, and we'll make a use of it. Then you have an important file. This is the urls.py file. Okay, what is the urls.py file? The urls.py file is the URL declarations for the Django project. So you can quickly consider it as a table of the contents which will help you power your Django website. Which means, let's say, in case if you have 5 pages and 5 pages have different URLs, so all those URLs will be maintained here within this urls.py. जैसे मान लो आपने एक प्रोजेक्ट बनाया, उसमें आपने मेन प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर आपने कुछ फाइल्स बनाई हैं, जैसे, ठीक है, मैं बताता हूँ, एक बार यहीं पे लिख देता हूँ मैं, ठीक है, the URL declarations of Django project. Okay, for example, consider it a table and it looks somewhat like this. Let's say, in case if you have created an application in which first of all you're going to have sign in, followed by you're going to have login, then you will have a profile page. So all these URLs will be maintained by URL declarations file, that is urls.py, and you're going to make a use of it. Is that clear?
Yes sir.
Then there are 2 more files, the WSGI and the ASGI. These are the entry points for the web server's compatibility to serve the project. Okay, so as you remember that we have set up Apache with WSGI facility in the previous session we have done. So this is the server compatibility, a file for processing using WSGI Apache modules. Is that clear?
Yes sir.
So this is contained within your project. So now you can consider, first is the container of the project, second is your manage.py, which will manage every setting within your application, but your actual Python package is Arush project. Within that, you have the settings.py, you have the urls.py, which you are going to maintain the URL declarations of your Django project. Is that clear?
Yes sir.
Now, let's proceed further. So once you have got the project ready, the second thing which you need to do is you have to run the server. Okay, so what we are going to do, let's quickly go up, and now we are going to run the server. So let's execute user/anaconda/bin/python, and here what we are going to do, let's just quickly change the directory to Arush project first, so that we will not land up into any confusion. Now we are in the project. Okay, once we have created the project, we are into the main project now, and here we have the project and the manage.py file. So now what we are going to do, we are going to run user/anaconda bin python, and we are going to call manage.py. We are going to file manage.py, and we are going to call run server command. So what does manage do? Manage is actually represented as the Django admin. So all the things which you can do with Django admin can also be done with manage.py. Is that clear? So I've told you there were 3 commands. You can start the project, you can start the app, and then you can run the server, which can be done with Django admin. Similarly, it can be done with manage.py. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let's run a sample server. So now you can see once you have executed this command, by default our project is listening on localhost 127.0.0.1:8,000. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
But now, if you try to access this server, you won't be able to access it as of now. Why you won't be able to access it? Because it is not publicly hosted. So if I show you, if I go to this IP address and if I go to port number 8000 and if I press enter, you can see that we cannot connect to the server at the moment. Even though the server is running, but we cannot connect. This is because we don't have the permissions to access this application as of now. Okay. So what we are going to do now, we are going to run this server so that we can publicly access it. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So how we can do? In order to do that, you can use Control C to close the server. Again, you go here to manage run server, and this time you can define the IP address that I would like to publicly listen on the public interface on port number, let's say 8000. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Now if I run this, okay, the server will run on port number 8000 on public IP address, but still I won't be able to access it because I need to specify a permission for this 13.233.250.174 IP address in the settings. So, but I'll just quickly let you see what do we get here. So now if we try to access the server, we get an error that we got a connection, but the host is disallowed. Okay, it is saying you may need to add this IP address to the allowed hosts. Is that clear? This means request and response has gone, but we were not able to access the project, and this is because the host is not allowed. So how we can configure that? We can quickly come back to the terminal. You can see that on this server, we have actually received the request and the response has gone as the bad request because
Sir?
the IP address was not allowed.
सर
Yes.
सर एक बार आप थोड़ा सा ऊपर कर दो कि मैंने पिछले वाला कोड एग्जीक्यूट नहीं किया. हाँ जी, बस. थैंक यू सर.
Okay.
डन सर.
Now, so you can see that we are getting a 400 request error, and this is because our IP address is not allowed in the allowed hosts. So we have to go and allow this. So what we can do is let us select this IP address, copy the IP address using Command C or Control C. You can copy that. Okay. Use Control C to quit the server. And now within this Arush project, you can quickly see we are in this directory, Arush project. Okay. So what we have to do, we have to go to settings of this project. So in order to open settings, we can open nano Arush project settings.py. Okay.
Yes sir.
We'll open the settings, and within the settings, you can see that there will be a allowed hosts list here in this file. So within this allowed host, you have to save your IP address. Only then your project will be visible or accessible. Is that clear?
Yes sir.
So now use Control O, save the file by pressing enter, use Control X and run the server. /user anaconda bin python manage.py run server on this port number 8000 and press enter. Have you got that?
Just a second, sir.
Okay, are you done?
नो सर, जस्ट अ सेकंड। सर वो आपने नैनो में जाके कैसे किया था, वो मेरे को समझ नहीं आया, एक बार कर दो क्या?
sudo nano प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर settings.py ओपन कीजिए।
यस सर।
उसके अंदर नीचे आप क्रॉल करोगे तो आपको अलाउड होस्ट्स मिलेगा।
यस सर।
ठीक है, अलाउड होस्ट्स के अंदर यू कैन गो हियर, अलाउड होस्ट्स, और जो भी आपका सर्वर एड्रेस है वो अलाउड होस्ट्स के अंदर स्पेसिफाई कर दीजिए, जो भी आपके सर्वर का आईपी एड्रेस है जिस पे आप पब्लिकली एप्लीकेशन को प्ले करना चाहते हैं। Are you done?
यस सर।
You can save it by using Control O, press Enter, Control X.
यस सर।
Okay, and now you have to run your server. So run server on 0.0.0.0. That means on all the public interfaces, public network interface cards, so that anybody who is trying to connect to your server, he would be able to connect that, followed by port number 8000. So press enter. So it says the port is already in use. Let's just change the port to 8001. Let's say. Okay. So now you can see that port 8001 is running. Clear?
यस सर।
Now, what next we are going to do? We'll quickly get back to our page, and now we refresh. So now once we refresh, okay, we need to change the port number also to 8001. And once we press enter, now you can see that your Django project is running successfully. Okay, if you are able to see this GIF image and the installed word successfully congratulations message, that means your Django is set up properly. Are you done?
जस्ट अ सेकंड सर। Yes sir, done.
Is it working?
सर चेक करो एक सेकंड. सर पोर्ट नंबर कैसे स्पेसिफाई करना है?
Port number you have to specify using this option.
नहीं सर, ब्राउजर के ऊपर.
In the similar way, you have to specify on the browser also. Colon followed by the port number.
नहीं सर, लोड ही नहीं हो रहा.
Share your screen. And show your command prompt. यहाँ पे सर्वर रन ही नहीं हो रहा है आपका भी. Allowed host has to be passed with single quotes in it. You have just passed the IP address. यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे आपने सिर्फ IP एड्रेस पास किया है. It has to be within single quotes. It's a string. समझ रहे हो?
यस सर.
Open your settings file. You can use tab keys also in order to get the suggestions. Automatically the path will get typed.
सर टैब तो मैंने से कुछ आ नहीं रहा.
You don't need to go to user directory. You have to go to settings file. Just run an ls command if you forget the path in which directory you are in. You can check back with pwd. You are already in Arush project directory. You have to go into Arush directory, nano Arush underscore project slash settings.py. Use a tab key, it will automatically be typed.
सर टैब की से कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, प्रेस कर रहा हूँ.
Type SE and then press tab key. हुआ अभी?
यस.
Save it and test again. User Anaconda binary Python. PYT, there would be multiple files here. Python. Then you have to run manage.py. run your server. On IP address 0.0.0.0 colon the port number. So now it is running. Now go to the browser and check.
सर अभी भी ऐसा ही हो
13.126.27.226. Refresh the page again. Show me the command prompt. Okay, so why are you having this problem? I'll tell you. You are having the problem because of the firewall on AWS. So you stop the screen. Let me just show you how we configure the firewall. Okay, so let me share the screen. So if you face any issues once your server is running but still you are unable to access, this is because on the AWS server on Arush Batra, the current security configurations are like that. So there is an inbound rule just to allow only these ports 80, 22 and 4444. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to edit the inbound rules and I'm going to add one more rule for you. Okay. So within this rule, I'm going to allow multiple port numbers. Okay. Or else what I'll do is I'll just modify this port range to 1 to 65,535. For your testing, I'm just opening other ports also. 1 to 65,535. All the ports I have opened and we are done. Save the rules. Okay. So now you go to your web page and refresh.
Yes sir.
Is it is it working now?
Yes sir.
Yeah, and we will also test your server now. So that was because of firewall that you were not able to access. So we are going to use 8,000 and yes, your server is running. So this is how we set up Django project on AWS server in order to get started. Okay. Now in the next lesson, in the next session, we are going to understand about how we can create multiple projects within Django so that we can multiple apps within Django and we are going to make a complete web project using Python and Django. So for now, that's all for the day. I hope everything is clear to you that how we configure AWS, how we configure modules for Apache server, how we install Django, how we install Anaconda, then how we configure, how we create a project, how we configure the settings, and finally how we launch the project. Is that clear till here?
Yes sir.
Okay. So that's all for the day. Let's catch up in the next session. And let me just stop the recording.